Okay, in this video we'll show you the most efficient way I've found to dual boot Arch and Windows 7. Now that we have Grub 2 with Arch, it's actually pretty easy. There's just, if you follow the installation guide, the official installation guide, it's pretty similar to what's in there. There's one extra step as you're generating your grub and installing it and generating the configuration file to make it look like this. So I'm going to go ahead and well, pretty much what you need is the most recent installation framework from September 7, your genuine Windows 7 CD. That's what everybody has, right? Of course. This is going to be on a MacBook. It's very slightly different. There would be an extra step of what we call blessing the drive in OS X. I'm going to skip that. It's in another file that, or another video that I have. So what we do first is we boot into the Arch installation framework, and sorry, that was kind of violent. So what you need to do is boot into the installation framework, generate your drives, and then install Windows 7 on one of the drives. And go back and install Arch. So the first thing we do is we boot into the Arch installation framework, and once we do that, I'm going to go ahead and boot in and then reboot. Actually, I'll just shut it down, that's fine, and come back when it's ready. Okay, here we are in the new Arch installation framework and the CD. The first thing we're going to do is do a CF disk. Now I've already you can zoom out a little bit. I've already set it up. What we need to do is create 3 drives. First one, SDA, just 200 megs. Formatted, it doesn't really matter what the format is, it's just going to be Linux. The default, I think it's like 83 or whatever. The second drive is going to be your Arch installation. In my case, I did it 150. I have a 250 gig drive. And then you make a third partition, and it's important that you call it NTFS. It's I think it's bulk NTFS. It's like 83, something like that. When you generate the drive and you pick the size, and you can look at some of my other disks if you're not sure how to use this. But what you basically do is you delete what you have, delete all the files or all the drives that partitions that you have, create a new one, pick the size, go to type, and pick for the final one, pick NTFS, I think it's 83, or like I said. Then go to write. You have to write in yes, yes, and then quit. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and quit it out because I don't want to delete everything I've already done. So let me go back to the corner here. So I'm just going to go to quit because I don't want to make any changes. I'll clear to get to the corner. Now what we need to do is make the file systems, and you're only the first thing you're going to do is reboot. Reboot, put in your Windows 7, go through the Windows 7 installation, install it to SDA 3. I'll go ahead and bring it up, get into that position, and then I'll come back and kind of explain. I'm not going to do it because it takes about 2 hours to go through all the service pack upgrades and everything. I just don't want to sit through that, so I'll get to that position and come back. So here we are on the Windows installation CD. We go to install now. God, Windows takes forever. Accept. Go to custom advanced. Now partition 3 should be okay to do now. You shouldn't have to delete it or format it. That's why it's important to make it NTFS in CF disk. If you have to delete it as a Linux partition, it will probably come up with a new boot drive and kick the main partition down to 4. It's just a waste of space, you don't need it. So if it's already an NTFS, then you can just go straight to next. That's the idea. It's just easier that way, so you don't have an extra boot drive in there. It'll install everything to partition 3. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel, and then reboot back into the root, or I should say the Arch Linux disk. So once I reboot and get back into that installation framework, I'll pick it back up. Be back in a minute. Okay, so here we are back in the Arch installation CD. If your computer wanted to reboot, this probably would have automatically gone back into Windows, so you're going to have to interrupt that and go back to your CD DVD drive and get back into this. So at this point we have Windows installed on partition 3. So we're going to go ahead and work on SDA 1 and 2. So we're going to make mkfs.ext2 dev SDA1. So that's going to basically format partition 1 as ext2 file type. Takes a second, clear to get to the top. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to make it mkfs.ext4, and that's going to be dev SDA2. Make sure you don't put a 3 in there, because you'll just wipe out Windows that you just spent half an hour installing. Clear to get to the top. Okay, now that they're formatted, we want to mount them. So we do mount. We can mount the first one. We can mount dev SDA2 to MNT. Mount already exists, so we can just mount that. Now we need to make mkdir p MNT boot. We need to make the directory home. Now we can mount SDA1 to boot. See what we're doing, SDA1 is the boot drive, so we're mounting it to the boot drive on MNT, which is going to be the system that we'll be installing to. We're on the ISO now, or on the disk now, and we're telling it to install from the disk to the mounted system. And we'll change into that system later on, but so we need to mount there. And we're also going to, since we don't have a separate partition for home, we're going to go ahead and tell that to install or mount to SDA2 as well. Okay, now that we're mounted, we need to check our internet, and for me I need to use unfortunately need to use a dongle, because I just don't feel like, hopefully you have a wired connection available, because just an extra step. It's so much easier to use a dongle, and in my other videos I've also used it. It's just a Ethernet dongle here. It seems to work pretty well. Sorry for moving the camera around. Yeah, this text is so damn small I have to zoom way in. So we'll check the internet, DHCPCD ETH0. We'll check it again, ping C2, the famous google.com, and it looks like we're good. Clear to get to the top. Next step is to actually install the system. And if I can get this camera to work, there we go. So we're going to do pack strap to mount, which is the system, base -devel. Now you can install your favorite stuff here. One of the things, or some of the things I always use, is obviously going to be sudo. We're going to use pacman mirror list. Obviously, I'm going to include wict and wict-gtk, just because that's what I'm going to use on my system, so I might as well install it now, and that gives me a pretty early time to where I can unplug the dongle and just go from wict as I'm installing everything early. So go ahead and hit, let's make sure it's zooming in here and get a clear picture. There we go. This will take a while. This is, basically building your system. So I'm going to hit the enter, make sure it starts to go. Yeah, okay, and I'll be back later. Okay, so the base install is done. I'm going to clear to get to the top. Next thing we want to do is install the bootloader. You're actually really just downloading it. So which the command is, man, I wish this thing would zoom in decently. There we go. Pack strap to mount grub-bios. So this is just going to download grub. Okay, that's done. Clear. I'm going to do something a little different here. I'm going to go ahead and do wireless. I'm going to do first thing is rc.d start dbus. Wict needs that. And I'm going to do rc.d start wict because we downloaded that. I thought we downloaded it. I'm going to do this again. Pacman s wict. That might not be on the system until we chroot. Okay, so never mind. Let's not do that. Okay, so now we want to do, we'll do that once we change root. So now we do gen f stab p mount, pipe it into mount etc f stab. Okay, now we do arch chroot to mount. Now we're booting into this actual, changing to the installed OS. Okay, now that we're here, let's go ahead and do rc.d start dbus, rc.d start wict, and then nano etc rc.conf, and we're going to put dbus in here. Dbus is needed to do wict, comment out network and let wict handle it. Exit, yes. Clear to get to the top. Now we're going to do wict curses. And there's my network. And whatever your password is there. And once you have your password in, F10, pick your deal. Shift C, nope, don't want to config. No, C, Shift C is connect, yeah, that's right. Validating. Obtaining IP. Connected, cool. So now we can unplug the dongle. There we go. Unplug the dongle, get back in the desktop. Shift Q to get out of that, clear to clear everything out of the way. Okay, so the next thing we do is, come on camera, work with me here. Next thing we do is, okay, we did a gen f stab, we chrooted, we want to write no etc host name. This is right out of the install script, so I'm just going to put in arch mba, which I always do on this thing. Control X, Y, enter. Clear to get it to the top. Now we're going to symlink our local time. So you want to do cd etc, sorry, user share zone info ls. Those are the different countries. Now we want to do cd America. And those are the cities. So you pick your combo and you do ln. Yeah, I'm gonna get to the, yeah, probably have to just zoom it down a little bit. Okay. ln base s-s user share zone America and Los Angeles for me. pipe that into etc local time. Okay, now we need to set our locale preferences. So we do nano etc locale.gen with an E, locale.gen. And for me, I go down to en.us and US right here. Okay. See these two here? So you pick your stuff there, uncomment them, Control X, Y, enter, clear to get to the top. Now we use the locale gen, locale with an E dash gen. Now we are supposed to edit mk init, but I never have. So we just go mk init cpio dash p Linux. Okay, that's done. Clear. Next thing we do, we're supposed to yeah, I'm gonna there's a couple steps here. Let's just go ahead and do it. I'm gonna do nano etc rc.conf. Nope, that's not the one, sorry. Clear. Nano etc.pacman.d or .conf, there we go. So I'm gonna add I love candy. I always do that. I like that. Page it down. Go to multi-lib. Comment out multi-lib because you like your lib32s. This is for Yart. Arch Linux fr close server equals http:// repo.arch.linux.fr Control X, Y, enter, clear to get to the top. Sorry, I'm going pretty fast, but this is that all is in my other videos. The next thing we're going to do is nano etc default and grub. Now this is going to, really the only thing I changed here is this timeout. This is going to give you 30 seconds. So you change that to 30 every time you do generate what do they call it? They call it gen grub-mkconfig, grub-mkconfig. It's going to use a 30-second automatic timeout by doing that. That's one of the things I wanted to show you. So Control X, Y, enter. The next thing, here's the different part. So I'm going to do a pacman s, and we're going to do os-prober. os-prober. Well, we can't do that. Pacman syy. Maybe that'll do it. Okay, now we do os-prober. There we go. Yes, definitely not. We definitely do. Oops. Now that we have os-prober, here's the key part. So we're going to do os-prober. I think you can see that okay. Yep, os-prober. Check it out. It's going to find the Windows 7. Aha! So now that we know that it's there, we can go to the next step, which is grub-mkconfig o-o boot grub.cfg, and you see the Windows 7 loader in there. Awesome. Now we can okay, now we're gonna get, this is probably the most difficult part, so I'm gonna break it here in case I screw it up, and then I'll come right back. Okay, so I'm going to clear it out. Now we're going to do, this is the risky part. This is just for, if you don't want to do this, don't do it. So wait before you start following me until you look and see the reason before you start doing this. So what you do is nano boot grub.cfg. Okay, so this is the actual grub configuration file. I mean, if you don't have a menu.list, which this new installation doesn't have, you have to do it this way. So you page down until you get to menu entry, like right here. And I don't like the way they call this, so I delete with core repo kernel blah 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 blah. I don't like that. So then I go down to the next one. Next menu entry with blah 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 blah, and I take it out and make it just fall back. Now you need to make sure you don't delete any parentheses or any of that stuff, and the same for Windows 7. Windows 7, I just get rid of all this crap because I don't like that. Later on, if you wanted to put a background picture, where is it? You can actually go to the default etc default grub and actually put in a background picture. I did it for my other install. I'll do it later, and then you can actually have a cool background on grub. There are some good videos out there, so I just Control-X-Y entered. Now we do grub-install, grub-install, and we do that to dev SDA. Oops, can't see. There we go. Grub-install to SDA. Alright, and let's see, what's the next thing we do? We can do password, PASSWD, enter your password, and now we do exit, and we do umount, mnt / open bracket, shift bracket, which is this little kind of curly Q deal. And we do boot, comma home, comma, which is just root. Okay. Now we do, let's try to umount now. Okay, so we should be good to go now to reboot. I'm going to zoom out, and hopefully we'll have a nice grub 2. Takes a while, unfortunately, for Macs. Until you bless the drive, it sits here on this gray screen for a while. Grub loading. Alright, cool. So you should have Windows 7 and Arch. And from here, I'm not going to boot into Smo. Show you that it works, I guess. I don't know. But you should be able to just go through the regular installation and add user, do your mirrors, all that kind of good stuff. Come on now, too small to see. But anyways, you can refer to my other videos, videos 3 and 4 I guess it would be, for how to do all that. And there's plenty of those out there, so if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks, bye.